Would you ever imagine that your very own peers may be reliving one of the most traumatic wartime nightmares as they walk past you on the street? That they may be re-experiencing the death of their loved ones on a daily basis? That they may rarely sleep through a night? Sadly, this is a reality for a handful of our students here at UT and students at campuses all over our country. Post-traumatic stress disorder is an illness many soldiers struggle with. According to a report released in November, almost 250,000 veterans since 9/11 have been diagnosed with PTSD. Many civilians fail to recognize the severity of this disorder.
It's frustrating sometimes. It's frustrating most of the time because people don't care and we feel like we've done so much for them to continue their, to express their freedoms and liberties, and we kind of feel like people just don't sympathize. Not that we expect it, but we kind of feel like they've forgotten about us, they've forgotten the war altogether, and they don't care to know about the war or PTSD. So it's frustrating because, here we are with so many stories and experience, and most people don't care to educate themselves.
Triggers for people with PTSD can be sudden loud noises, death anniversaries, or large groups.
Other than the large groups triggering anxiety for me, another thing that triggers it is someone making a comment about our troops or about the military, because discussions in class, it pops up with current events. Especially as a political science major, we're constantly talking about it. I was in one of my political science classes where a girl made a comment. We were talking about the war in Afghanistan and what's going on now, and a girl made a comment saying that she's against the war, which is okay, I understand that. I'm against it too, but I take orders. And she said that anyone in the military that could take an oath and kill somebody else or just go to war and be a part of it is a murderer. And I wanted to turn around and put her in her place in many ways. But I didn't, because it's lack of education or ignorance, and it takes self-control for me not to do that. But it's okay. I try not to take it personal, but it just hits home because I've lost so many people, and I've lost, a few family members in Afghanistan, and it hurts me because I feel like what they've done and what I've done has just gone to waste. People don't care, and I did it for them.
For those with PTSD, coping in healthy ways is very important.
My way of coping with things is pretty much avoiding the situation, like getting away from it, or if I stay around, I probably will snap, so I try not to do that. So I try to either talk to my roommates about it, or I just try to talk to another fellow comrade that's a veteran. But like I said, with PTSD, it's hard to restrain yourself. So by God's grace and, being lucky, I've had people around that have either put that person in their place, or they've been around me to kind of hold me back, from saying certain things. So it's difficult, but I remember the uniform that I wear and why I'm wearing it, and that usually kind of helps me from just going berserk on them. Because I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life, and that's okay. I just have to know how to cope with it, and there's times where I don't want to go to therapy, or I don't want to go to counseling or group meetings, with other veterans that are dealing with the same thing. My family pushes me, and they just try to remind me, and they try to be as normal as they can around me and not treat it like it's something bad.
Some soldiers believe ROTC students aren't educated enough about PTSD.
ROTC students are not prepared for it because their training is in a university setting, not in boot camp for 13.5 weeks like the Marine Corps.
You see, we get a little bit of exposure through our training. We usually get classes or something like that on it during the summer if we have a summer training event, but most of the time during our actual school year, we just get maybe once over the world per year, but really not a whole lot.
I don't think anyone can prepare for war, but just the dirty, nitty-gritty part of it, they don't see.
The awareness of it probably isn't as much as it should be, because those who've never been over there, even myself, I don't understand what that's like because I've never seen it firsthand.
Soldiers and ROTC students alike hope to change the common negative stereotype of post-traumatic stress disorder.
I hope that PTSD is viewed as something that's common and accepted throughout the civilian populace, meaning not accepted that it's okay that people have it, but it's accepted that the actual service members who come back and those that served are accepted in society. They're not just looked at differently.
U.S. Marine Karen Danica Tate has a message for civilians.
To just ask us questions I mean, I tell people that don't know about PTSD or afraid to learn about it or approach us, I normally tell them don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, we're not going to sit there and get mad at you. And I try to, like I said, education through personal experiences. And people are afraid of that sometimes to ask us because they think that we're all mean and, you know, war, and shoot. And really, we're just like, we did that while we were over there. We're not over here walking around with guns, you know. We're over here just trying to study and get an education so we don't have to go back to war.